Let's get started. Welcome to the Church of Jesus Christ. More specifically, welcome to the Tuesday Nighters. More specifically, welcome to the book club. More specifically, welcome to the suggestion box. I find all of those intros as enjoyable as the one before, and I love as I say this to you, speaking of how we have grown and evolved over the last couple years. We are now a group of people who rally together around a suggested chapter. So I want to remind you, keep those coming. I don't remember the last week that a suggestion has not come in. So I appreciate that. Please keep those coming by text or by way of shooting those to us in the communication on this, the chat on this. Any way you can get them to us, please do, because they are keeping us going. Tonight, it was suggested that we do Mark 5. So we're going to. Mark 5 is one chapter. It's 43 verses. It's 953 words. Very similar to last week's as far as length. I think there's 90 more words this week, so they should have felt very similar. I listen to these often on audio, on some audio system. This took 5 minutes and 12 seconds to read, and I think I listened to it literally at least 10 different times because 5 minutes goes so fast. When I read myself and when you read yourself, it's certainly not 5 minutes, so I do not want to demean or discourage you from the hard work that you're doing. But it's amazing when you just listen to it straight through, it goes so quickly. So I wanted to remind you, 43 verses, 953 words, great job. Mark 5 steps us out immediately out of what is average to us into the normalcy of Jesus Christ. And I hope you read this as such. I hope it caused you pause. I hope you took a step back and read the depth of the verses, certainly, the events that were happening, but also from a perspective of Jesus Christ. We are urgently thrust into a day in the life of Jesus Christ. And his life becomes obviously different than ours. From the first verse, a normal day in the life of Jesus Christ has him traveling. In this case, some 100 miles or so from Jerusalem. Upon his arrival in Gadara, he was immediately confronted. And the confrontation that took place was complete and utter confusion. I say that so that you're again thrust into his life and what presented itself to him in so many different ways. In this particular case, complete confusion. This probably I'm understating this. An extremely troubled man sprinted to Jesus Christ as he got off his ship. This man was possessed. He was frenzied. I can't imagine what that felt like, what that looked like. I can only guess it was abrupt. I can only guess it was felt maybe even threatening on some level. Certainly dangerous given what this man, by way of the report we received, had been able to do to himself over a long time period. But he was known to have these troubles in the city. We learn quickly and are brought into this back and forth, this discussion between Jesus and who we find is a man named Legion, which means many. And it seemed that a voice came out of him to identify who they were. The healing of and the change in Legion was hard to comprehend. As you probably recall, the solution involved sending whatever possessed him into 2,000 swine. And it must have been so severe that they rushed off a cliff. I find that incredible. Once this man was healed, the city was stirred. I'm sure that the rumors went out and they heard about this. And so a second confrontation came when they came to meet up with Jesus Christ. Although they eyewitnessed the sanity, the change in Legion, they were concerned that he would leave this place where he was shackled and come into the city. In fact, he started to climb on the boat, if you remember, with Jesus, but Jesus sent him back to Gadara, back to the people of the city, for his testimonial, and it would live on that this man once was and now who he is. Jesus Christ returned to the boat and he continued in his travels. And it makes you wonder, what would he confront next? His next stop, he immediately is met up with a man named Jairus, I think is how it's pronounced. And he was a father of a 12-year-old little girl. When he met with Jesus Christ, it says he fell at his feet, begging the Savior to save his child. The way that was written is it said, he besought him greatly. I can't imagine the helplessness of this man, the helplessness of the first man, the helplessness of this man. One who was consumed by these demons, this one consumed by grief and despair and helplessness. Jesus agreed with the man to go to see this child. But on the way, he was disturbed. He was paused. He was interrupted. He was held up. He was swamped by the people between him and this little girl. They came into this city, and it seems that they just pressed against him, probably asking him, help me in this. I need this. I want this. I just can't imagine what he was confronted with. Remember what I told you. This was 80, 90, 100 miles from home. There were no communications that you would be a benefactor of today. There was no devices to know who this man was. There was no television. There was no newspapers to tell about him. But they knew when he came in who he was, and they rushed him. While this was happening, there was one person in particular who made an amazing decision. What I believe she did, after struggling for years and years, I don't know if Mark says it, we read it somewhere else, where she had been struggling for 12 years with a disease. Because of what she did, I don't know if she knelt or if she crawled to him so that she could just touch the hem of his garment. Well, whatever got her there, whether this was avoidance of the crowd, whether this was just falling at his feet, whether this was crawling to him, she got to him. She reached out to him, and she successfully was able to touch the hem of his garment. And she was immediately healed. The word, Mark writes it as she knew she was healed. But she wasn't the only one who knew. Jesus Christ also knew immediately, not by feel of her touching the hem, but by feel. He felt the transfer of virtue. And just as immediately as he knew, just as immediately as she knew, just as immediately as his father had greeted him when he got off the ship, just as immediately as the man with demons, Legion, confronted him, he was confronted again, this time with a terrible announcement concerning this child. Remember, he wasn't there to heal this woman with this issue of blood. He was there to heal this child. And yet, as he stood there talking to this woman, the servants, it seemed, or those who were back at the temple, came to tell him, don't bother coming out. The child had already surrendered to her sickness. The child had died. But Jesus Christ refused their refusing him, and he continued to his home. And again, another confrontation. Just a day in the life. Arriving there, he found the mourners weeping and wailing. When he told the people who were there was still hope, he was confronted yet again in a shocking way this time. The word says that they laughed him to scorn when he said, she wasn't dead, she was just sleeping. But their laughter was quickly reversed. The word says they were astonished with a great astonishment. He told her to arise, and she did. She arose to the witness of all those who had wept, all those who had wailed, all those who had laughed. She stood. So I want you to consider what we just read in just one chapter. Jesus was first confronted by devils. He was then confronted by disease. He was then confronted by death. And all three yielded to his power. Sometimes our own situations, our own issues become too great for us. We maybe we even doubt. And I wonder if that doubt isn't as loud as the laughing to scorn. So we have to shake that doubt from our minds. And maybe Mark 5, this specific chapter, is a great chapter to come back to in those moments for us. Because when we consider all that Jesus Christ confronted, maybe knowing that each of them ended in such victory, maybe it'll stir our faith. Maybe if we consider what the power and authority of Jesus Christ can do by way of this short little chapter, 3 different stories, 3 different events, 3 different harsh confrontations, and the challenges that he met with and overcame. I want you just to remember these 3 words so that you have something to compare your situations to: devils, disease, and death. All of them overcome.